Yo, what's up? Welcome to another build guide. So one of my friends asked me if I know any Reap build, and the last time I played it, it was a Keystone Crit Bow, Reap Bladefall Inquisitor build. Yes, that is something that exists. You can go and check my channel. It is a build that can kill any boss. But I'm not sure about Uber bosses because I played that build 2 leagues ago, I believe. So I said no, I don't know anything. So he just searched the POE Ninja and maybe YouTube, I don't know. He said that there is a self-cast Inquisitor Reap build, but it seems very expensive. But that version that he saw in POE Ninja, obviously most people actually min-max their build, so they also level their character to 99, 100, whatever. So they are actually on the leaderboard, right? So that's why their gear is actually insane. So he's like, if I can do this for way cheaper, but he didn't have any Inquisitor, so I was like, okay, you just get the gear, whatever, the budget you have. Give me the character and I will test it for you. We actually didn't expect much because he just skipped so much. He finished the build in like 2 hours. He didn't even craft anything at all. I will just obviously walk you through the gear and explain everything. But in the end, he actually didn't spend much. The only expensive stuff he bought is just an Awakened Spell Echo, which is right now 8 Exalt. I don't know why, because I believe people don't play much self-cast builds, but Inquisitor builds are super powerful for all content. So I highly suggest you to search some Inquisitor builds. I also have a couple of those in my channel, by the way. So yeah, that was something that he invested in. And he also bought an Unnatural Instinct, which is another good upgrade for Inquisitor builds, because there is a really nice support actually for spell builds. That is another 8 Exalt, so that makes 16 Exalt total. That is the luxury upgrade for this build, let's say, but obviously gives you more DPS and those kind of stuff, these two items combined. The other stuff, I believe, didn't cost 15, maybe 20 Exalt. So he built the build below 30-40 Exalt budget, alright? You can easily start this with, I believe, 15 or 20 Exalt without that Unnatural Instinct, and just use a regular Spell Echo, so yeah. So let's just start the items. Let's just explain first the skill maybe. But maybe after the guide finishes, I will mention some upgrades, or I will just put another gear set in the path of building that makes more sense, so that shouldn't make... I don't want to make the video any longer. I already explained a bunch at the intro. So there is gonna be probably another gear set in the path of building if you want to min-max the build, alright? This is the lower budget version. Yeah. So Reap is a physical skill that actually consumes life. So in this build, you don't have to even worry about mana and mana regeneration. We will just reserve most of it and don't even worry about the cost of anything, because this is a free to cast build. Actually, we cast from our life, but anyways, yeah, it is free, basically. So we want to convert this, obviously, because this is an Inquisitor build. We want to deal elemental damage. To do that, I will just also explain the items at the same time. A gloves with physical damage convert to cold damage. You can find this on actually prefix as a bench craft. It goes up to 25%. But you can also get some unveiled items, or whatever they are called, from June. People just unveil these, and if they unveil it from the June, it is actually goes up to 35%. So a percentage conversion glows, alright? The rest of the stats always go like dexterity, resist, life. If any piece can have spell damage, cast speed, cold damage, crit multiplier, or physical as extra something. They are actually good, but I believe he doesn't have anything, because he doesn't have physical as extra on any of his pieces. Because again, he just bought everything on the market. He didn't even spend much. This is not min-maxed at all and still kills Uber bosses, feared everything easily. Stupid build. So yeah, you want conversion. The rest of the conversion is on a Watcher's Eye, a conversion Watcher's Eye, physical convert to cold, which is again super cheap right now. No one plays these kind of builds. And also the final part is on the talent tree as a cold mastery. So you want to convert your Reap to cold damage. Also make sure you use the Searing Exarch and Eater of Worlds currencies to craft some good implicits on your gloves. The thing that you definitely need is Unnerve and cold damage leech as life, because this is spell build. Unfortunately, there is not spell leech as life on the talent tree. You have to get it from somewhere else. The places that you can get is obviously gloves or cluster jewels. We didn't want to use those kind of cluster jewels, that's why we just put it on the glows. So this way you can actually leech once you attack, once you cast your spell. Alright. So yeah, this is a cold reap in the end. You definitely need Awakened Spell Cascade, which is right now dirt cheap. No one plays these kind of builds. This way you can actually cast Reap on 4 different areas and they actually overlap. That is why these skills deal so much damage. In your path of building you will see something like 10 million DPS, 15 million DPS, something like that, but that is actually only one Reap. I believe 3 or maybe even 4 of them can overlap. Not sure about the AoE because I believe we didn't invest into much AoE. So let's say 2 or 3 of those actually overlap on the boss. That actually makes more than 30 million DPS with this gear. If you min max, it goes up to 70 million DPS maybe. Maybe consider getting more area of effect if you know better. Again, I just tried his character. I didn't build this character. Maybe we have something wrong, alright? Just check the other people on POE Ninja. There are like 10 people right now on the leaderboard who plays Reap and they have way better gear. So also, yeah, go and check those guys. So you want them obviously to overlap. So Spell Cascade, Awaken is super important. Just buy it as soon as possible. The other gems are nothing to mention actually. We only swap area of effect with crit damage while mapping. So we have actually more area. So we can actually clear maps faster. But this build doesn't have any Herald of Ash or Explosion. So maybe consider using also a Herald of Ash instead of Herald of Purity. That makes sense maybe while mapping if you want to bother with it. But we mainly want to make this character as a bosser. A low budget uber bosser, yeah. That sums up that. We obviously use a Divine Blessing, Zealotry setup. So just press it, it just consumes life because we also have life tap. This is a common way to get a free aura that lasts like maybe 10 seconds. He didn't have any increased duration on it. If you can also put that, it goes up to 18 seconds, I believe. So yeah, a temporary Zealotry, just press it whenever you can. Before attacking a boss or while mapping. Yeah. So obviously we want more DPS for this budget. That's why we also use Pain Attunement. Spell damage on low life. This provides huge DPS. But we want to be on low life. Because Inquisitor can already regenerate life and inner shield at the same time. This is a hybrid build actually. We both have life and inner shield. That's why we safely used a Petrified Blood setup. And also reserved our half of our life. Alright. So we want some of our buffs on Arrogant support, you know, Vitality, Herald of Purity, whatever you can put, but make sure you have half of your life left. So this way you are on low life all the time. Reap also consumes life, so if you are at maybe 55% life, if you just use 1 or 2 reaps, you are at low life. Alright, no big deal, you don't have to do anything special. So once you are on low life, you will also get Pain Attunement buff. Huge DPS, this provides like 3 million DPS on a single reap. So more DPS. Petrified Blood also prevents some of the damage and you actually get degeneration instead. Because Inquisitor already has some regeneration, this doesn't worry us that much. Even with this low budget, this character has 800 regeneration. But high budget players can easily achieve at least 1500, even goes up to 2k regeneration, which will make this build unkillable. So that is why you should definitely consider min-maxing this build if you really enjoy it. Because this is again a lower budget version. We didn't invest into much defense, regeneration, more resists, even spell suppress, you know. We don't have anything like that and still kill most bosses comfortably with this setup. That is enough with the gems, those kind of stuff. Rest of the gems are obviously in path of building. This is an Inquisitor build. We also have a permanent Righteous Fire, obviously, don't even ask it. This is how to play an Inquisitor. So even more spell damage, permanent spell damage. You can even sustain that with a... I will just check fire resist. It is not even 80% and you can sustain it. That is how powerful Inquisitor is. So I will just explain the rest of the items now and that is probably gonna be it. So weapon choice, because this is a physical skill, you can get +1 physical spell skill gems or +1 all skill gems, I believe, something like that. So +1 gems or more DPS. Other good stats, obviously cast speed, because this is a self-cast build. Cast speed is super important. Spell damage, crit multiplier. Crit chance shouldn't be necessary because this build is also applying brittle to cap crit. We can easily hit 14% brittle, which just caps our crit instantly. So yeah, you can easily skip crit strike chance for spells. Obviously consider using a wand for spell damage, or maybe elemental damage scepters, because this is an elemental build in the end. Shield. So this build is immune to ailments, so that's why you should definitely consider getting avoid ailments on your shields, suffix I believe. So that is number 1 stat. After that, again, spell damage, +1 gems, anything that you can fit in. So make sure you are ailment immune. He actually skipped life to buy a cheaper shield. You can see that this shield doesn't even have life on it. And also double damage on suffix can help for more DPS, obviously. Helmet, first of all, obviously you want some enchant if you want to min-max. +1 maximum blood charges. Reap is a skill that actually generates charges on its own. It has a special charge generation ability, whatever. So it is normally 5, I believe. So if the enemy doesn't die, let's say, you actually generate those charges and deal more damage. So on a boss fight, you will obviously see those 5 stacks, but with the helmet enchant, it is 6 stacks actually. So more DPS on single target, so this is a very good enchant. For the helmet itself, actually it is just shit. Life, 2 resistances, and dexterity, that's it. He just bought it, you know. Again, this is a below budget build. Most items doesn't even make sense, and this build just kills anything. Obviously, you also should maybe consider using those Searing Exarch and Eater of Worlds, like you did on the gloves. So cast speed and reservation are things that my friend chose. Let me just check if we actually need that reservation. I think not. Because even without that, we have enough mana, and Reap is already free because it costs life. Maybe you can skip that reservation and just craft your helmet. Maybe try playing like that if you think that is fine. Don't craft that mana reservation and put something else instead. Just check the database website, obviously, to see other influence implicits. And that's it. Boots. Life, movement speed, resist if you still need, maybe dexterity, those kind of stuff. Obviously, we want to be ailment immune, so that's why you should also consider crafting that. I believe that's a suffix, if I remember right. Again, just check Path of Exile database all the time. If you are not good at crafting, if you are new to these kind of items, that is your website, POE database. On the implicit, he just picked physical damage as extra cold. Yeah, we actually have one here. As I mentioned earlier, because this actually provides very nice DPS, and also action speed, or more cast speed and movement speed, obviously. Also attack speed, but this build, this is not the concern, you know, for this build. For the enchant, he doesn't have anything. I believe maybe he just bought this. I don't know. This is not even an Uberlap enchant, but probably the best enchant is penetration. If you haven't killed recently, so maybe consider getting help from a labyrinth service provider. They usually take like 1, maybe 2 hours to hit that penetration enchant, because they do gifted laps. They, I believe, enchant 6 times every labyrinth. So yeah, just get help from a good service provider in the Forbidden Throw Discord. Yeah, you can actually even put avoid ailments on the implicit that also exists on Eater of Worlds or Searing Exarch, one of those guys. So you can actually go up to maybe 40%, even 50% maybe, avoid ailments. Just check the database again. So yeah, make sure you put those avoid ailments on the boots and shield. The rest is on the talent tree. So you can actually be immune to ailments, elemental ailments. Next, body armor. Cheapest way to get DPS, Skin of the Lords. He just bought a random keystone that doesn't kill this build, let's say. He just picked iron reflexes. It doesn't do anything for this build, I believe. Maybe if we have some evasion from items, maybe they are armor now, but you don't need that. Just get a keystone that doesn't do anything, or maybe that is good for this build. It can also be iron reflexes, it doesn't matter. But don't get anything like, you know, ancestral bond, I don't know, blood magic, if that still exists. Let me just check. Yeah, those kind of stupid shit, alright? Don't get those kind of wrong keystones. You can also use Skin of Loyal, by the way. They have, I believe that has +1 gems, but it can also be corrupted or even more implicit +2 gems, AoE gems. Let me just check Reap's eggs real quick. AoE duration. So +2 AoE, +2 duration, +1 gems. Percentage damage. Those kind of Skin of Loyals with corruptions maybe. Or get a Lord, because that already provides +2. Obviously you cannot recolor this item because it has a unique modifier. Sockets cannot be modified. So make sure you buy the correct colors that the Reap actually uses. I'm just checking Path of Building if I can use any other gem. Maybe Awakened Fire damage. It adds like 3 million DPS, I believe. But maybe total DP. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it sounds good actually. Maybe you can skip 1 blue crit damage maybe and get Awaken added fire damage. Awaken added fire damage I believe is like 1 chaos. The leveled, 5 level is probably 1 exalt if I am not wrong. So maybe consider getting 1 more red instead of a blue if this color combination is expensive. Alright, something like that. So yeah, that's it about the body armor. I will just leave the amulet to the last because that has something interesting. Rings, life, resist, cast speed, cold damage, percentage damage, physical as extra maybe if you want to bother with essence crafting. There is actually physical as extra fire, I believe. Maybe that can provide some decent DPS. But this is a cold build in then, maybe not, I don't know. So those kind of stats. Maybe missing attributes, chaos resist, that's it. As you can see, he just bought the rings, Well, I believe one of the rings is actually alteration craft. What the fuck? 1, 2, 3 modifiers on that carrion finger ring. What the fuck is this? So yeah, that's it. Belt. I don't know why he wanted to buy that flash charge when you deal a crit. It obviously works from time to time, but it has a 0.5 second cooldown, something like that, I believe. So yeah, you don't need that. Maybe this was cheap, he just bought it, I don't know. Because this is probably a bricked hunter belt. People usually use hunter exalt on Stygian vises to hit that percentage life actually, because those belts are super expensive. So a Stygian vise for a socket, so you can even put some DPS, missing attributes, anything that you want on the jewel socket. Life, resistances. If you have an open prefix, percentage damage. Maybe percentage life if you have the budget, but those belts are, I believe, at least 10 exalt. I believe he bought this for 3 exalt, something like that. That's it. And finally, amulet, and why that is a special item. Leadership's price. I've actually seen lots of people play with this amulet right now in Sentinel League. There are more than 200 people playing with this amulet. I believe this is getting more popular these days, because that is actually a very cool amulet, and it also provides plus maximum resistances, which is nice for Uber content. You want to be more tankier. That is why maybe that is the reason this amulet is good. So how to use this amulet? First of all, this is corrupted, so make sure you buy a good one with plus resistances, because it can also go minus. You don't want to lower your resistances, obviously. So just search for at least 1% max resistances. If you have the budget, even search for more. The cheapest ones are like 1 exalt, the good rolls. If you just search for 3 or 2 resist, they go up to 10 exalt easily, because people actually buy this these days. After that, you also use a tainted oil, which is 1 exalt or maybe 100 something chaos, I don't know. Because this is a corrupted amulet, you want to anoint it by also using a tainted oil. So that will actually cost you a little bit. He picked crystal skin for +1 resist and avoid ailments. If you again maybe have a better boots, maybe you can cap your avoid ailments from your boots. If you do that, consider getting another anointment. You can also get prismatic skin for +2 maximum res. That's actually better. So anoint something, even maybe DPS, if you think DPS will help you better. So after that, here is how to use the amulet. It says you have scorching, conflux, brittle, and sapping, everything at the same time, if your 2 highest attributes are equal. So this is an Inquisitor build, so you will already have high intelligence and strength. Dexterity is going to be lower. You just want to get some dexterity on your items to use the gems required. So if you have, let's say, 250 strength, that is going to be a higher stat obviously than dexterity for this build. Intelligence is going to be close, because this is an intelligence based talent tree, alright. So you also want to make that intelligence 250. That is what we did in this build. If you have 230 strength, you want to have 230 intelligence. Or if your intelligence is 240 maybe, you want to increase that strength from 230 to 240. So in the end, make sure your strength and intelligence are equal. It doesn't matter if they are 200, 300, whatever. In this build, we had 250 int and strength at the same time. I will just check if we put any attributes on any pieces to do that. Just checking right now, real quick. Yes, he has an open suffix on one of... Yeah, that alteration craft ring. Strength and dexterity at the same time. That is how he kept that. So I guess this talent tree alone has more intelligence. He also has strength on one of his jewels. So yes, you should definitely get more strength, it seems, with this talent tree. Without the items, I believe this talent tree has more intelligence. And that's it. Make sure you do that. So you have actually those confluxes. You can also see those buffs on top of your screen. You will have some yellow, blue, and red icons. Your character's hands are also glowing once you do that conflicts. You know, once you make that strength and intelligence equal. All right. So you can actually deal brittle for more crit, scorch for penetration, lowers the resistance of the enemy actually, and sap that reduces the damage output of the enemy, so more defense. That's pretty much it. A very powerful amulet if you can actually use it. Also provides max resistances. Definitely nice. And easily caps our crit strike chance. That's why you shouldn't get any crit on your gear. It doesn't make any sense. This build can easily deal maximum brittle on most bosses anyways. That's about it. Nothing else to explain. I will again put another gear set in the path of building. A higher budget, let's say. I will just find a build on POE Ninja. If someone else actually min-maxed it, I will just check a couple of guys and probably copy one of their gear. So consider min-maxing this build. You shouldn't get any more DPS. Actually, DPS is more than enough. You should be more tankier, you know. Get spell suppress, maximum resistances, more regeneration. That is super important. You can actually put life regeneration rate on your boots, helmet, those kind of pieces that boost the regeneration a lot. That is a super broken modifier as a suffix actually. Maybe that will get nerfed in the future. I don't know. That is so much broken. You know, one piece just provides like a couple of hundred regeneration if you can build your character right. So those kind of min-max on your items. So just check path of building. I also have a leveling guide for Templar Inquisitor. Just check Triggered Man leveling. That is a super powerful and easy way to level your Inquisitor. You just need 2 Poet Pen wands actually. Just check my channel, alright? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share this video maybe. I will obviously have more guides coming. Also make sure you are in my Discord if you want to chat with me and other players, alright? I will see you later. Bye bye.